What's good, people? Check it out, because this time last week I was telling you guys the markets is moving one place and one place only, and that is lower. You only need to take one look at the markets right now to know that we were bang on the money with our prediction once again. Whether we're looking at Tesla, whether we're looking at Micron, the stories to the same, prices moving to the downside. Listen, people, I'm always here to put you guys in a position to win regardless of what the market throws at you. That being said, I want you guys to understand, when the markets look like this, you guys can make a lot of money. I'm talking hundreds here, people. I'm talking thousands, and I can hear you guys now. How do you make money when prices are moving lower in the markets? People, the answer to that is what we call put options. Yes, because put options increase exponentially in value as prices in the stock market drop. All right, to help you guys understand that, come take a look. Check it out. The last time I ran put options, you guys can see I made $31,000 in profit on those option contracts. And people, best believe when I'm winning, the whole team in the Patreon is winning. That being said, let me go ahead and introduce you guys to a couple of the legends in the building. We got RV Gardner, who's been running it up in the plays with us the whole year, netting a beautiful 70% profit, matching mine on that play. All right, but check it out. We got legends in the building who've been running it up with us the whole year, but we've also got new members as well. So shout out to B Dash, went ahead and made 83% in profit, first time in the put options, ready for the next one. All right, people, listen, we are getting ready to run another play next week in the markets. I want to make sure that you guys are in a position to win with us. That being said, hit the link down below, join the team over at the Patreon, all right? Because we are ready to go next week in the markets, and you best believe the scenes are going to look like this, all right? But before I go ahead and give you guys some intel into what we are looking at next week in the markets, all right, I know I've got a few beginners who are watching the channel, and those of you guys who are inspired and want to get in on the action on what we do behind the scenes. I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to get involved in the options market, right? First things first, you want to have a brokerage account that's going to allow you to go ahead and trade options. I'm going to leave a link down below to the account that I use, the options provider that I use, that I've been using for the last 5 years. That's going to get you guys going, all right? But the next step is this. Go ahead to a stock that you want to trade options on, and one that we love around here, one that we have rinsed and repeat and trade options on every single month, is none other than Mara, right? So you go to the stock of interest that you want to trade options on, and in one click of a button, you go ahead and flick over to the options chain. All right, this is where the magic happens. This is where you're going to go ahead and select the option contract that you are interested in. But listen, people, there's a lot of different option contracts you can pick, whether you're choosing different dates or different strikes. I'm going to help you guys break it down. I'm going to help you guys get into the right option contract that is going to allow you to maximize the moves in the markets. All right. Once you have gone ahead and selected the option that you want to pick, whether it's the $15 or the 15.50, you're going to be presented what we call an order screen. Okay, it's right here where you're going to go ahead and select the number of contracts you want to enter into. And for beginners, you're going to typically be in that 1 to 3 category. All right, once you start winning, making some trades, making some money, then you graduate with us to the 5 to 7 contract territory. All right. Then it's going to ask you your order type, limit or market. Listen, if you're a beginner in the game, just stick to the market. It's going to get you guys into the option contracts very easily. All of this takes 10 seconds, all right? No reason why you guys can't get active. No reason why you guys can't start participating in the options market and making some phenomenal returns. That being said, now all of you guys know how to enter into an option contract and how easy it is. Let's take it to the markets. Let me show you guys a couple of names that we are looking at for next week. All right, now here's the thing. Next week in the markets, what we should expect is a bit of a continuation from last week. All right, so they're going to hit the markets with some pressure to start the week. That's going to be temporary, last a couple of days. But that being said, if it's going to last a couple of days, it's an opportunity to run up some put options. Check it out. We've got Robinhood currently at $99. Now I want you guys to pay attention to the price action on this thing over the last couple of days. Okay, now you can see right out the gate, Robinhood didn't do too much, right? The first couple of days, half of the week, there was no activity. Started at 106, ended at 106 come midweek. Then what happens is it delivered the earnings, the market finds something to nitpick about, and then they sent this lower. Okay, they sent it as low as 94 bucks. Then what happened after that, guys, is listen, they pushed this back up to 100. The buyers thought, no, we're bringing this price back up. The sellers were like, no, you don't. And they pushed it back down to 99 bucks. Now, I want you guys to understand that come next week in the markets, when we come out the gate, come Monday, Tuesday, the sellers are in control. Right? That's the most important thing for you guys to understand. The sellers are in control and they have the ability to push this right back down to the low of the week, which is around that 94, 95 buck mark. So next week in the markets, what we should expect is what we call a continuation from the back end of this week. All right. So further pressure. Okay. The buyers have lost their stronghold in the markets. The sellers are currently in control temporarily. All right. That being said, that's an opportunity for you guys to run it up in the put options on this. And that's why I say if you're in the team, you're going to know exactly what we are going to do. All right. Because come Monday, come Tuesday, come Wednesday in the markets, we should be in a play, locked and loaded, ready to go, ready to run it up. And remember, when we pull up to the options market, guys, we are targeting nothing less than 100%. All right. Home runs in the building. But let's move to the next one, because it's not just Robinhood in the tank for next week. We want to also be having our eyes peeled on none other than Google, currently 889 bucks. Now, when we think medium term, okay, we know this thing is going to 200 bucks and we know we're going to run call options up to 200 bucks, all right, and beyond this year. Okay, we just closed out a phenomenal option trade on this. Those were some call options. We're getting ready to run it again. But again, just like Robinhood, listen, people, the sellers are in control. You always want to know who is in control. The buyers in control, or the sellers in control. And then what you want to do is you want to strategically align yourself to them and then run it up in the options market. This is how you play the game in the markets, right? So that being said, let's take a look at the action on the week. We can see that the low of the week was around 188 bucks. They could send this down to the mid 180s. That's the 185, 184 territory. And that is what they are going to do. We know this name is under pressure right now, okay? And we know that pressure is going to continue next week in the markets. We know the market still has a lot of question marks around the Alphabet business. Now, those are unjustified, right? We don't care about those. But listen, we got to appreciate that that can cause some temporary weakness. We can appreciate that can cause some temporary damage in the stock price. Now, we own Alphabet stock and we know we're going to take this up, all right, heaps and heaps beyond where it's at right now. But in that journey to get in there, we love to run the option play, run it to the upside, run it to the downside. And as they're going to slam on some pressure in the markets, as they open up the gates this week coming up, that's an opportunity to make some cash on the put option side of things. All right, let's run the next one, guys. We've got none other than ARKK in the building. Listen, we used to run the options on this all the time. All right, but we have a rotation of plays, and this year we have select group of players that has been making myself and the team a lot of money. And you guys over here, you know the ones, whether it's Mara, whether it's Hood, whether it's Google, but we might just introduce one of our old school favorites back in play, all right? Because it's currently 171 bucks. And if we look at the action on the week, they're putting the pressure on, right? They slammed the brakes on this thing, moved it down 5.6%. One of the biggest losers to close out the week last week. And I want you guys to understand that they are going to be sending this towards the 68 buck mark. Okay, 68 bucks is where they'll be sending this next. There's a lot of room to the downside of this. We know that this one encapsulates a lot of those tech stocks, a lot of those high growth names, and we know those names are under pressure right now. We know those names are feeling the heat. We know those names don't have the back end that some of the larger names in the markets have. So again, easily into the 60s next week. A lot of people think that this is done here. You can see that. What did the buyers try to do, guys? Let's home in. Let's look at some granularity here. What did the buyers try to do at the back end of the week? They tried to push this up. They tried to get it back into the heights, all right, of the mid 70s. But look, their efforts were met with nothing. All right, their methods were met with a brick wall, because they pushed up to 72 and it closed the week at the low of the week, back down at $71. Again, continuation expected temporarily next week in the market. I've got one more for you guys. Check it out. Amazon. Okay. Again, another play we used to run the options on. Haven't run it on for quite some time, but this is why we love earnings season, because what earnings season does is it opens up a whole new pipeline of opportunities, guys. And one of those is none other than Amazon. Take a look at the action in the last session, down 8.5115%, rather. Okay, they're not done there. Okay, you can see the buyers tried to push this up. Low of the week. The low of the week was 214. The buyers tried their best at the back end of the session to move this higher, and they just couldn't do it. Okay, next week in the markets, what they're going to do is they're going to send this down to the 210s and below. Okay, so you're going to get a continuation of the action that we had seen in the last session. Again, it's a name for those who are out there in the markets with put options to take a look at. Okay, so guys, listen, next week in the market is going to be a very, very exciting week. A lot of the market isn't expecting what is coming. Again, what the markets is trying to do is push the markets higher, but what they're doing is they're doing it prematurely. All right, that's the thing. But over here, you guys know, you guys have got the intel, you guys have got the insight into what's going to be taking place in the markets next. All right out the gate. That gives you guys the opportunity to run up and make some money. All right, I'm looking forward to hearing about all of you guys' success. If you haven't already, link down below, join the team, join me and the army. All right, because we are going to be getting into some incredible plays next week in the markets, no doubt, and we'd love to see you there. All right, that's the video for today. I'll see all of you guys on the next one.